The surprising secret to getting your partner's support. This is going to blow your mind, and I can guarantee you, you don't know what I'm going to say. So I'm going to take a few seconds, easy for me to say hi to my inner circle members. That's the IC next to their name. We're having an inner circle tonight. I'm sure Craig will share with you where to get that information. So, hi, Jerome, Dustin, Arthur, Bill, Craig, James, John, Randy. Nice to see you. Linda, Jody, Mike, Mary, Kai, uh, James, Eric, Karen. Thanks for the message, Karen. I can't wait to watch it. Pat, Positively Polly. And we're right at the moment, so we'll get started. Hello, my name is Robert Hollis. I hope you're having a wonderful and blessed day. And today's subject is a surprising secret to getting your partner's support. Now, when I first start out here, you guys are going to crack up because I didn't know that I didn't know. You know what I mean? If you looked up in Wikipedia under clueless, my picture would be there. And let me explain. So, I was 25, 26 when I found this industry and becoming an entrepreneur. And even prior to that, when my wife and I dated, it was like all about me. Oh my God. I sit and think about, the person I was. And I know you guys probably don't see that in me now, but it was like it was all about me and what I liked and what I did. And, whether you believe this or not, I believe in this, but I went through a really bad divorce. My wife just basically abandoned me. And she said, I don't want to be married to you anymore. And I got an 18-month-old son that's Robert Hollis Jr. And, broke my heart, man. I tell people all the time, I dated 3 girls and married 2 of them. And so, at the beginning, when my wife found this broken person, right? Being a single father, raising my son, I mean, she is just the epitome. She grew up in a Leave It to Beaver family. I mean, incredible support from her mom and dad and one sister. And I mean, she just went overboard. If there's anybody that has taught me the right way to support somebody, it's her, you know? And, so when I got hurt as an auto mechanic, because of pride, because of ego, edging God out. It's all about me. It's all about me. All of a sudden, I'm making $900 a month, and my rent was more than that. And so all of a sudden, I'm losing everything, right? So all the fun toys and motorcycles and all this stuff, I'm losing it all because I can't keep up with the payments on it. I was so leveraged, and Terry, she just loved me through it all, but things got so bad that I had to call up, my ex and say, listen, you got to take care of your son for a little while until I get back on my feet. I get electricity cut off. And then I have this really awful, stupid conversation. So for all of you that think I'm, all that in a bag of chips, I don't believe that. But when I share this with you, I sat down with her and had a conversation. And I just said, listen, I can't be a mechanic anymore. I'm going through workman's comp on my knee. I can't afford to take care of us. Take care of us. And, she wasn't looking for that. She wasn't looking for that. And I said, listen, and so I took what little money I had left and I bought her a one-way airplane ticket and flew her from, California back to Montana. I just said, I'm not worthy of you. I don't deserve you. And I just, it was all about me. It was all about me. And sad, to think that, at that point in time, you know, pretty much totally destroyed any little relationship I had, even though it was maybe like four or five people. And so I couldn't have been worse off of where I was. And thank you so much for the donation. You guys just overwhelm me. I just love you. This money goes to orphans, and people that are taken away from their parents or no longer have their parents. And so all of a sudden, if there was a role model on how to not support or be the person you're supposed to be for your partner, your wife, your significant other, your husband. I was the perfect example on not what to do because of all my trauma and blaming and excuse making and all my victims bullshit, all of that stuff, right? And Terry couldn't fix me. I had to fix me. And so you guys know the story. I meet my second mentor, and he starts, blowing me away with personal development. The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino. Again, shout out to Craig Jackman. I just love and appreciate him. He just keeps dropping the bombs of wisdom in here as we're going. And so when I read that book, and it radically changed who I am. It radically changed who I am. And I just did not look at my wife, Terry. At that point in time, I wasn't grateful for her. I wasn't appreciative of her. It was like, I was probably just the opposite. It's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? And so, me getting, learning personal development and learning, that I needed to love myself. I needed to really, really make a lot of changes in me. And so, of course, when I meet my mentor, he asks for my dreams, right? And he's showing me the plan, and he's getting me out there. And I'm like, at this time, I'm so lonely, and I'm just like, I messed up the best thing in my life. I'm gonna hopefully she'll take me back. I want to make enough money to get a ring and go back and propose to her. And it was this whole really mental attitude of mine of looking at how incredible she was and how appreciative I was and how grateful I was. And I still was sort of messed up though. Thank God. I mean, thank God every day, all day, that she accepted my proposal and we got married. Her goal was always to have children. And we had Matthew, probably will be on here, and also Kyle. And she helped me support my older son, Robert Hollis Jr. She just amazing, just totally amazing. And so now I'm doing everything I can to I've committed to her. It's over. It's like I'm going to do everything, but it's still the roles and the programming in my head was still needed to be redone. So my thing is the way to be the best supported person is just to put my head down and produce. That if people say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, that's usually, it's close to oxygen. Poverty doesn't buy happiness. So I'm out there working for these companies and I'm like busting my ass, and we're making good money, but then, over promise, under deliver. And then, another company, it got a little worse. And then when I left Equinox, with my mentor there, it was just one bad company after another after another. But I got to take responsibility for that. And I started to. So not only was I part owner of companies, owners of companies, master distributor of some companies, but it was just one fail after another, after another, after another. And things got so bad. Listen to this. Things got so bad that here my wife is pregnant. She's got Matt and Kyle are only 18 months apart, and she's taking care of my older son. And in the midst of this, money gets so bad that she's got to move in with her mother and father. We take everything that we have, which wasn't much, and put it in a barn. for storage. And then, the car that I had, the motor blew up, and now we don't even have a car. And I'm out in Atlanta starting all over again. And I just built another company, and that one went out of business. And I'm like in Atlanta just going, man, you know, this was 1995, beginning of 1995. So you guys hear my career, but we never ever talk about the ups and downs. And here's where it really shifted for me. My wife never gave up on me. And it had been months since we seen each other. Couldn't afford to fly home, and just one failure after another. And I'm talking from like let's say all of 92, 93, 94. Just begin first quarter of 95. Just wreck, no money at all. Terry's on government assistance. She goes to different stores. She tells her story about, going to different stores in different parts of the city, not to be embarrassed by buying stuff with food stamps. I'm telling you, our life was bad, really, really bad. And so my wife intervenes again, and she gets one of these little card decks, right? And in the card decks, it's like postcards. And she sees a postcard in there from two guys that I helped build their business. And it was Mike and Tony Kupas. And they had just started ACN. They wanted me to be a part of it. I was like, wait until you make money. I'm not getting involved in the startup, whatever. And probably a good decision at that time because, I needed to humble myself. And so now I'm sleeping on a mattress in a garage in Atlanta, Georgia. And I get this phone call because Terry called Tony and Mike. They called and got a hold of me and said, "Hey, listen, we're doing an event in Atlanta. You should come down and check it out." And so I went down there, and just I couldn't have been more humbled, because Terry told them where we were sitting and what was happening. And I don't have any ego left. I'm like, almost back to where I was when I wasn't doing the right things, after being hurt as a mechanic. And all of a sudden, what I did is I went in there, Tony and Mike step off on stage and say, how many people have heard us talk about this auto mechanic that, moved into our apartment and showed us how to build this business? And they all raised their hands. There was like a couple of hundred people there. And all of a sudden he said he's here. And so this Delzino Wilson Debriano, this incredible guy, he's sitting in the front row. He jumps out of his seat, runs all the way back to where I am, and throws his arms around me and starts crying. And he's going, my whole life has been changed because of what you taught Tony and Mike. This whole room is filled with people in my organization because of what you did with Tony and Mike. And so my mind really flipped. I go, here it is. My wife, you guys know that I'm in the company I am right now because my wife said, hey, why don't you, help me out? And so here's what I learned. It sort of makes me a little emotional too, is I all of a sudden went, all I want to be is an independent affiliate with a company and owners that give a shit. It was funny. A dear friend of mine, Neil Ramtreater, we were talking about that today. And I went, okay, so Tony and Mike, they showed me their checks. Oh my God. They just got a quarterly check. It was like, oh yeah, like 350,000 or something like that. Both of them each got a check. And I went, okay, I'm going to humble myself and I'm going to get in. And listen, you guys waited for this. I decided to do everything the opposite of what I'd done up to that point. So the first thing I said to Tony and Mike is I said, please allow me to put my wife front level to the company, and I want to be underneath my wife. Didn't want any money, didn't want anything. And I said, because here was my thought. my thought is she's taking care of my kids. I'm not even there, been gone for months. I don't know how many months. It was a lot. It was a lot, 6, 9 months or something like that. And I went, I'm going to put my head down and do the work that I know that's required by saying as little as possible to as many people as I can, as fast as I can, and just giving so much praise and recognition to Tony and Mike Kupas for what they had created. I didn't do presentations just like I don't do now. I didn't do trainings. I didn't do anything. I did exactly what I did when I first met Bill Gould, my mentor in NSA, is I was just going to put as many people as I could, as fast and possibly as I could, in front of someone that was documented at that time. I no longer talked about my past. I didn't give a shit about my past. And I just said, listen, I got to humble myself. And so what I did is I put my head down. And because of my focus and my efforts, I think I put like, 80 some people again, just like I did with this company. And I just used their videos. I just used everything that they had. And I just poured my heart into it and just acted like a person that didn't have a car, uh, was living in somebody's garage, had their wife and children living with their mom and dad, and for lack of better words, homeless. And I just decided that I needed to stop pretending to be somebody I wasn't, because the documentation that I had was zero in the bank, if not overdrafted, no credit cards, no nothing. And so here I get to start all over again. So this was March of 1995. And so what I did is this time I put her first. This time I did everything to put her first. And so when I put my head down, imagine me building the way I was building, all of a sudden my wife starts getting checks in the mail from ACN. And I wish I was smart enough to actually think about figuring this out, but I didn't. So my wife, just like in MDC, she started getting rank advances. All of a sudden, her checks are going up, going up, going up. It didn't take me less than, believe it or not, 60 days that my wife, listen closely, my wife's position with checks on her name, not mine, not ours. See, there's a lot of people from different spiritual beliefs that would go, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, just do things the way you do it. I'll do it the way I do it. And so all of a sudden it's just like, hey, she's the one that's taking care of me. She's the one that's taking care of my children. She needs all the money. But I was getting a check as well. And so it didn't take a couple of months. I was flying back to Montana. We packed up a U-Haul, got all our stuff out of a barn, moved it all to Conyers, Georgia, because that's where I started building a group and started all over again. And then I just stayed humble and I just kept building and built an incredible giant group. We went all the way to the top position in that company was called a regional vice president. I believe 90, not believe, I know. That would be like 2001, 2000, and 1999. I was number one in the world in ACN, not only for the number of customers, but also for the numbers of people that I've personally sponsored. And so we just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that's when I sort of figured out, you know what? How you show your spouse exactly how to support is you put them first. You put them first. And as the company grew, then we moved from, of course, Georgia back to California, and the rest is history. So it's one of the things that I realized that if I put her first and I pay her, and the money goes in her account, there's no better way than to show support for someone than see a lot of people, they want support, but they don't want to give support. And so I just got so humbled at that point in my life that I just wanted to make sure that she knew that as far as people, that she was number one in my life, and that I was always going to be there, and I was always going to, take care of her. And that really changed our life and everything. So I just wanted to, show her how much I love her, how much I appreciate her, how much um I'm grateful for her. And I started doing that ever since. So ever since, regardless of what company I was when in and what I was doing, I made sure that Terry had her own account, which she still does. The money goes directly into her account. Even when we form a corporation, she gets paid. She gets the W-2. She gets all of it. And some of you might be going, that ain't what I'm gonna do. Well, that's okay. So a couple other things I'll throw out there right away is instead of talking about your dreams, instead of talking about your goals, to be able to sit down with your wife, your partner, your significant other, you sit down with your children and ask them what they want. What tell me something that you want, and you start putting them as far as priorities in your life instead of you. And so that's when all of a sudden things really switch for me, because if I'm doing something that's doing stuff for my sons, if I'm doing stuff for their wives, if I'm doing stuff for my grandchildren, if I'm doing stuff for my wife, if I'm doing stuff for them, and that just is who I am. I doing it for other people is what makes my life go round. It juices me up. It makes me who I am. It makes me fulfilled and full of joy when I know that they're not in despair, because they know that they always got cash and money. And as money continued to get gooder and gooder, then I very simply started rewarding them more. And that's just who I am. That might not be you, but again, the title is this is how to get your partner's support. What if you said the first thing that you were going to do with whatever excess money that you're going to do is that you're going to make sure that they retired from their job, that the first one that got a new car was them. Are you hearing me? It's like instead of saying lip service, my goal was to make sure that, my wife has had no car, pieces of junk for a car. You know what I mean? Used cars, and now she has two new ones. So now every couple of years, when the lease runs out and the company takes care of it, they call us and say, "Hey, you want to upgrade to a new vehicle?" And the answer is yes. And to think that my wife got a brand new Escalade, sport, all murdered out, everything's black on it, and then she's got right next to it a brand new Tesla Model S Plaid, the fastest production car made. And so whatever that woman wants, she gets. And so that makes me happy. So a lot of you, if you don't take the time to find out why you're doing this, for me, I'm not money motivated. And on top of that, me doing things for myself is really not a big deal to me. It doesn't give me anything. So all these accolades and stuff that I have is me making sure that she knows, that my sons know that they're number one to me. Huh? So that takes a huge mindset from who I was to who I am. Even the words, listen to this. Even these words. Why don't you support me? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why haven't you done this? Why don't you do this first? Why don't you do that first? See, it's like the unrealistic expectations and the consistency of never giving appreciation or thank you or gratitude to somebody that could easily be with somebody else. So it's pretty amazing that, when all of a sudden They know. See, if it doesn't take a very little bit for you just to really look at your entire lives with your partner. And I think my son put partner here because it could be business partner. But the number one goal for me is to outgive. My goal is to outgive people that I'm in a relationship with, whether it's business, whether it's anything. My deal is out to outgive you. And so if you give and you're expecting something in return, if you give and you say, I'll give, but I expect this. And if I do this, then I do this. The one thing I know for a fact, and you can prove me wrong, as long as you have expectations toward anybody, they'll always let you down. They'll always let you down. But did they let you down? Or are you just expecting stuff from them that you shouldn't be expecting? See, so we sort of set ourselves up. And people do that with the government, people do that with their parents, people do that with their siblings. Every relationship is this consistency of us going, why didn't you do that? Or why did you disrespect me? And blah, 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 blah. It was crazy. Terry and I were watching Survivor last night. And, there was this African American lady that she got a letter from her mom. And she was crying, and everybody's like, wow, that really got you. And she said, yeah, because I cut my mother out of my life a year ago. Wow. And I hear people all the time that, I no longer talk to my parents. I no longer talk to my children, or my children don't want to talk to me. And it's like all these things that we consistently are expecting people to be and do the things that we think they should do. So this is the way we think you should act. This is the way you should be. Man, how is that working for you? So it was easy for me. I just wanted to do everything the opposite of the way that I used to be. And I'm still doing that today. I'm still looking at things that doesn't make me feel right. I recently, really good friend of mine, really super good friend of mine, we had lost a little bit of contact, and I reached out to him and said, listen, dude, I don't know what I said or did, but if any way, shape, or form, if I did something to harm our relationship, I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. I hope you'll accept my apology if I wasn't there for you, if I wasn't listening to you. And he comes back and said, are you kidding me? It's like you did nothing. And so, but what I really, really, really love is, find out what everybody else is doing that's miserable. Find out what everybody else is doing that's struggling paycheck to paycheck. Find out what everyone's doing that doesn't have great relationships with people. And don't do that. It's so funny. I appreciate again Matt and Craig for the podcast that we did yesterday, where they interviewed me, and I was just like, man, if you don't feel good at doing certain things, then stop doing that. Just stop doing that. You know what I mean? Holding grudges and all that crap. It's like anything that makes you feel bad, get over yourself. Get over yourself. You're not that important. You know what I mean? So I've learned to put others first. And things are working out very, very well for me. Very well. So you can go to roberthollis.com/free. Look at Craig's got it already. How do you know that? How's that working for you? For just a minute, because I was talking about the blogcast. So in closing, that's the secret. And I know that there's some of you right now that just went, there's no way in hell that I would honor, see, different words for me, that I would honor and consistently always show the people that love me and support me the most, how do you consistently show them, not tell them, not promise them, show them that you really, really love them? Because again, the more you give, the more you get. So I love and appreciate you. Again, if no one's giving you permission to be happy and fulfilled, let me be the first. And please do me a huge personal favor and share this video with other people. We also are doing the inner circle tonight. I know Craig was really awesome in posting that. And so you can see information around the site to be part of that inner circle. That's just me being more raw and direct in helping people with breakthroughs and the things that they need to help them get to the next level. So I believe in you. I love and appreciate you, and have a great day. Bye for now.